Hey geeks, yesterday was my birthday, so I treated myself to some comics and some books. So let's take a look at what I got. 2 of 4 of Mys-Tech Wars. So I've been trying to collect all 4 of these issues. I think I have issue 3 and 4. So this is issue 2. I just need to get issue number 1. These are written by Dan Abnett. Can never go wrong with Dan Abnett. And Bryan Hitch did the artwork. We'll take a look at this in a second. I've never seen this before. Monster Hunters in the Marvel Universe. And they had issue number 4. Issue number 5. Gorgilla. Issue number 6. The Lizardmen Attack. Yeah, I don't know anything about this. I assume it's from the 90s, so it looked interesting. The Rook. So I've got previous videos on The Rook, the collected hardcover editions from the old Warren Publishing days. So apparently at some point Dark Horse took over The Rook, and these were clearance for $3, which is like a steal. I've got both volumes. That was cool. Yeah, so Stephen Grant, script, art by Paul Gulacy. And these look pretty cool. It definitely has all the Rook characters in it. You can see that's the dude on the right, the old guy. I think that's his granddaddy. Or no, is it his granddaddy? He was plucked out of the Western time period. So yeah, they kind of rebrand him as a monster fighter or a monster hunter, which is sort of what he was in the original. But there was a lot of sci-fi concepts in the first one too. There were some straight up just like science fiction, space travel type stories and whatnot. But yeah, apparently he does a lot of time traveling, and a lot of mayhem ensues. Then there's volume 2. Of course, there's always beautiful women around the Rook. Yeah, always a fun read. This would be a good property to make into a TV show or a movie. You know, that would be. It just lends itself well to that type of stuff. Jack Kirby's New Gods. So I think that this is well, it's definitely a reprint. So I think at some point DC was reprinting, I guess, these old issues of the New Gods, but I love it because of the cover. And I think that's the value you get with these reprints, is you get different covers in the original New Gods books that Kirby did. So that's what I'm assuming this is. That's why I grabbed it, because the cover is so good. You got Calabac there, and Orion, Terrible Turpin. Apparently he's pretty much ticked off. It's a kind of a thick book too. I think this might be a 30 or 40 pager. So I don't know what they were doing. I didn't know that they were reprinting these at some point. And then, yeah, somebody apparently at Second and Charles like really came in with the with some of this Jack Kirby stuff. So Jack Kirby's Fourth World. I don't know what's going on here. This is John Byrne. So I guess this was Byrne's. This might have been the 3rd reboot of the Fourth World. And I don't have any of these John Byrne issues until now. Or I might have a couple here and there, but this was, I guess, DC's, 3rd or 4th attempt to sort of keep the vibe going with the Fourth World, with the New Gods and so forth. And who better than John Byrne to take a crack at it? That was issue 6. Here's issue number 12. Pretty cool cover. Trying to figure out who does that. Artwork looks familiar. I don't see a signature that I can see on it though. Issue number 15. Very Kirby-esque type cover there. I wonder if these are collected in a trade paperback. I know the Mark Evanier New Gods books are in TPB because I found them at the same place, volumes 1 and 2. They were like $7 a piece, so I've got those. Newsboy Legion, Boy Commando Special. Again, some more Jack Kirby. I guess they were doing that for the 100th birthday of Jack Kirby. I think this was, I'm pretty sure this was a one-shot in the 90s. Always interesting. And you can see clearly the two are going to square off, but you got plenty of like Kirby crackle up here in the sky. Here's an issue number 2 of OMAC from the New 52 era. Anything OMAC I usually try to pick up, and anything with Dan DiDio, Keith Giffen is going to be pretty good. So I think this was around the time of the OMAC project as well, if I remember correctly. Something that was a part of Flashpoint, Deadman and the Flying Graysons. I almost didn't grab this, but I just thought it was just too wacky and interesting. Deadman hangs out with the Flying Graysons, I guess, before they're, spoiler alert, before they're murdered, and their son, Robin, joins up with Batman, Dick Grayson. So, yeah, I just figured, check that out. Secret Society of Supervillains. This is an oldie but a goodie. Issue number 2, 30 cents. I vaguely have a recollection of this. Vaguely. I don't think I have any. I remember I've seen them around. So, yeah, I assume this was a book that DC was doing where it was, some of the supervillains have gotten together, and I don't know if it dovetails into Super Friends in any way. Maybe. You see, for some reason, Captain Comet, which is the other reason I grabbed it, is because Captain Comet is in it, and Grodd the gorilla. So, those two characters alone make it worth picking up. An issue of the Phantom Stranger from the New 52 era, and The Question is in it. So the Phantom Stranger versus The Question. So, I mean, you can't deny this. You got to grab it. An older issue, the Cooperberg and Mignola Phantom Stranger, the 4-issue miniseries. This is issue number 1. October of 1987. So this was just right after I had stopped collecting comics when I was a kid, or actually a teenager at that point. I didn't know that this existed. This is probably, I'm going to guess, maybe in my Phantom Stranger omnibus, but maybe not, because I think that's supposed to be a 2-volume set. I don't know if volume 2 is out yet, so I went ahead and picked it up. This is issue number 4. So unfortunately, they did not have issues 2 and 3, so I've got to find those to put together the 4-issue miniseries. Phantom Stranger from the New 52, The Revenge of the Spectre. So the Spectre and the Phantom Stranger square off in this one. Also a must-see. You see Dan DiDio again on that. All right, let's backtrack on these. Take a quick look at these awesome covers again. Yeah, these monster hunters, I don't know anything about this book. I don't think I've ever seen it before. Let's see if they've got tape on them. And we're in handheld mode today, but this one will pop out easy enough. It doesn't have tape on it. Let's take a look at this one. So this is a pure 90s. Fire in the Sky. Anybody see that movie before? It's pretty freaky. Although I think they took some real liberties with the true story, or it's based on a true story. So there are a lot of differences between what happens to the guy in the movie versus what happened to him in real life in terms of what he said his story was. Let's just say they take certain liberties to. They almost turn it into a monster movie in the movie. It's not. That's not really how intense the experience that he had was not really that intense. Anyway, so Bryan Hitch, he was doing a lot of work in the 90s, I guess. But, this is what you want in a comic book, like double splash page right at the get-go. You had Death's Head, fighting off a number of Xeno aliens. We got some X-Men. Definitely taking on the Xeno threat in this book. It's non-stop action. Oh, there's Thor, Wolverine, Storm. I think, is that Rogue? Cyclops. Yeah, so right now Marvel's got this Avengers versus Aliens series going on. But this is kind of like the same thing, but this is back in the 90s. Captain America, Doctor Strange. So fantastic. So everybody's in this book. I didn't know that everybody was in this book, but apparently they are. From looking at the cover, I didn't think that everybody was in this book, but evidently they are. The Secret Defenders. Spider-Man. Literally every Marvel superhero is in this book. An almost Leifeldesque Captain America. It was the 90s. This is how you drew Captain America in the 90s. This is it. This is the model right here. I mean, he looks almost as big as the Hulk. It's insane. Huge guns. Oh, this book is so 90s. So 90s. Huge guns. A lot of X-Men. What is this? Yeah, it's like an ad for some Robotech role-playing games. The artwork is so 90s. And it's non-stop action. It's what the kids want. Nope, somebody bought the farm. So, I didn't even see Death's Head except for in the beginning of this book. Hmm. Yeah, so this was a 4-issue miniseries. Did we see the Hulk in there? But one of the things I wanted to point out, as I've mentioned now a couple of times, is the nonstop action. You don't see that in modern comics today, where it just there's action, and then they just kind of sort of the plot is just sort of woven in between or during the action. It's it's just every panel is just some kind of fighting going on. This book looked cool. Symmetry and Chaos. So this is about patterns in mathematics, art, and nature. And they've got a lot of different examples. So what they do basically is show you a bunch of fractal stuff, a lot of patterns and so forth. And you know, the repeat of patterns in nature and in physical matter, physical construction, geometry and architecture, and artwork, such as quilts and tiles and rug making. Basically, they get in. This is an exploration of that, and they get into the mathematics of it. And I am not a math genius by any stretch of the imagination, but my artificial intelligence is, and they give you a lot of the equations in this book, and I want to program them into my AI and see what spits out. There's also a programming language that I'm learning. It's PSJ5, and it's specifically for creating visuals and visual artwork. And these equations, I can convert them into that programming language. I can use AI to help me do that. I can take the equations in this book and have it reinterpret them into the properties of the programming language, and then code it out myself, and then run it and see if I can create some really cool artwork that way. So, yeah, interesting book. But there's some of the math that you got to deal with. Which, if you look at this stuff long enough, you start to kind of it starts to make sense. I've come to the realization that math is nothing but concepts linked together. So that was pretty cool. I've been looking for this book for a while, Fire Upon the Deep by Vernor Vinge. This is his masterpiece. It's a classic. So, at a bargain price of like $7. These science fiction masterworks are pretty cool. They're popping up at all kinds of bookstores now. They're reprinting a lot of these classic science fiction works. Let's see here. Yeah. Millennia hence, an unknown forces partition space into zones of thought, which dictate a mind's potential, from superintelligence in the transcend to the limited minds of the unthinking depths. When an ancient transcendent artifact is used as a weapon, an awesome destructive power is unleashed. So this is right up my alley. Speaking of ancient artifacts, I found this book. Anything that's about King Arthur and the Holy Grail, I usually just grab it by default. And so this fell into that category. So, this one's chock full of different illustrations and so forth. Yeah, this one is, sort of esoteric, arcane archaeology. This guy's looking, again, we talked about patterns. This guy's looking at patterns in ancient artwork across different cultures, and how they have to do with the crucifixion of Jesus, the Holy Grail, and King Arthur. And ultimately, what he's trying to figure out is where the Grail wound up. There's a lot of people who are still looking for the Holy Grail. So an extensive intellectual and scholarly study was conducted. Some would call it pseudoscience or pseudo-archaeology, but you'll never know unless you read it yourself and make your own determination, which is what thinking is all about. And take you even further out into the rabbit hole, Area 51. Everyone knows about Area 51, so I think this is just kind of just a historical overview of the property, of the piece of land that the government denied existed up until about like the year 2000. The lore, the rumors, the mysteries, and so forth. It's basically a catalog of all that stuff. Nick Redfern is good at compiling a lot of that stuff. So, always an interesting read. This guy, Maurice Cottrell, he's wrote a number of books. So yeah, happy birthday to me. A lot of cool stuff. All right. Till the next one, stay geek.